Take two. Okay, so a minute ago I was on my side and now I'm right way up. Hello, my name is Debbie Carberry. I'm from debbiecarberry.com.au, and what I wanted to talk about today was infidelity, cheating. What else do we call it? Gosh, we call it lots of things, don't we? But I'm talking basically about relationships where, for whatever reason, one partner or sometimes both partners choose to go outside of their relationship to look elsewhere for their emotional needs to be met or their physical needs to be met. Hi, Renee. Right way up this time. And I guess it's been a theme for me in the last couple of weeks. A lot of my clients have come to see me where there's issues around fidelity or a perception of a person cheating. And so I thought I'd have a chat with it. It's not a topic I've actually discussed online before, so I'm going to talk about it today. So basically, I am a clinical social worker and a relationship coach, and I see tons of couples with lots of issues. If you imagine that, a high percentage, 50% of the population, possibly higher, will actually end their relationship. And now we perceive that that couples will have at least 3 long-term relationships in their life instead of the one that historically couples had. They would get married and stay together. And I guess historically, infidelity was quite common. Back in the day, if you look earlier in the century, women were with men because they needed assistance, they needed financial support, they needed somebody to take care of them, they raised their children, and it was a relationship that was oftentimes built on a common need, really. And it's only in the last 50 years that we really move into a relationship with the intent of being in love with somebody. And so relationships now are very, very different to the way that they used to be. Hi, Lisa. Thank you. But I guess with coming into relationship based on love and wanting to be in love with somebody, then guess what? There's a lot of pressure in that relationship to keep the intensity up, to have fun, to be passionate, to be excited. Hey, Cassie. And that intensity of relationship is very challenging to keep. If you've been in a relationship for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, if you're in a relationship and you have children and there is a lot of pressure, if there's financial pressure, if there's emotional pressure, if you are disconnected physically, energetically, emotionally, it's really, really challenging. Excuse me, I just have some water. What I see in my clinic is usually one partner will have either gone off and physically been in a relationship with somebody else, so they've had sex with another person, or gotten pretty close to it, and their partner finds out and is devastated. The betrayal, the lack of trust, the dishonesty is devastating. But I also see people, hi Sarah, I also see people who come in and we have this thing called an emotional affair now, which I'm doing the old rabbit ears, because I see people where and people, men and women, this is not just men by the way, men and women, well they'll say, well I'm not having an affair really. So I ask couples, how do you define it? How do you define an affair? How do you define infidelity? How do you define betrayal? And for me, it's anything that's a secret. So if you have to keep a secret about it, for me, therapeutically, when I'm looking at clients, if there is any level of hiding, then yeah, I think you can definitely say that there's something not okay with that. If we have to hide it, there's a reason we have to hide it. With the internet and the capacity online now, there are websites where you can hook up with people if you're married. There are websites where you can have extramarital affairs. There are, the capacity now to go outside of your marriage is extremely high, and what happens is you may not ever even meet that person. You may never meet them face to face. You may only ever do this online. And so it is a way in some ways of justifying it as not being an affair, because technically you weren't together. Sadly, oftentimes those kind of relationships are even more damaging. The relationship with another human being where you're getting a need met that might be an emotional need. You may want to talk to somebody. You may have a extramarital or extra relationship affair that is about being listened to or heard or understood or feeling valued or You know, it may be a physical thing, but it's not always a physical thing. And so for all the couples I see, a physical affair is more easily managed than an emotional affair, because there's a sense of connection. So oftentimes, if it's the woman who has the husband or the male partner has betrayed them, the women are devastated with an emotional affair, because that's kind of really sacred. You know, our connection. You know, why is he talking to her? What does she bring to him that I don't bring to him? And for lots of people, it's really deeply wounding when our partner goes somewhere else. Now, this is the bit where I get into trouble. Hi, Laura. What I know is an affair is not a one-sided thing. If both people in the relationship are 50-50 responsible for the health of the relationship. I'll put one caveat on that. If there is abuse or neglect in a relationship, if there is a power struggle in a relationship, that's very different, and I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about two healthy people who believe that they have a fairly equal relationship. We are both responsible in our relationship. You know, if I'm not having sex with my partner anymore, if I don't listen to my partner anymore, if I've lost interest, if I am complacent, and these things seep into relationship and filter through across a period of time. They're not like this big thing that happens overnight where there's this big disconnect. You know, for a lot of us it begins like this, and gradually over a space of years we move apart. And then we wake up one day and think, you know, I'm here alone, or together alone. So when I'm dealing with people who have had affairs, or where there's been an emotional affair, then I look at that couple and say, okay, what is missing in your relationship? What is it that had one of you go, I need to go outside of this and find it somewhere else? I'm not condoning affairs. But I'm just trying to explain how some of these things can happen. That when we're disconnected, when we forget to pay attention, when we lose interest, the other person may still want things from us. If we're not giving what they need to them, then they may go somewhere else. It's really important in a relationship to do this nose-to-nose contact. Like oftentimes, especially if you've got kids, especially if you've got work, we do this parallel living, you know, we kind of just mull along side by side. And there's not this really nose-to-nose connection where we turn towards and we stop and we say, I really see you. I really, really see you. You know, with real interest. You know, what is important to you? What do you need from me? How do we find the time and the energy to connect with one another in more than just a business-like way? So I think part of buffering your relationship from the possibility of an affair or an emotional affair is keep a tally on where you're at, check in with each other, find out how you're both feeling, you know, and do it on a regular basis. Something else about affairs that I think is really important, and before I started doing couples therapy, I wouldn't have believed this, but I've seen couples who have been able to make their relationship lighten up after an affair. And for some people that might sound bizarre, but I watch couples as they see each other through a completely new lens. And sometimes it's that shaking up and that putting the relationship on the line that actually makes the couple turn towards each other again. And all of a sudden, you get, yeah, Renee, you too. Yeah, absolutely. And I see it. I see them where they finally focus again and go, wow, like, I love you. I care about you. I don't want you being with somebody else. I want you for myself. And I've seen couples literally just completely, their relationships become really new again. And I'm not recommending it as a way of making a relationship new again, but I've seen it happen. And I see lots of couples who stay together post-affair. You know, there's a lot of pressure to leave your partner when there's been an affair. But I see tons of couples who don't do that. You You know, they choose to stay together because they've been together a long time, or because they have children, or because they don't want to leave each other. There are parts of their relationship that do work for them, and they find a new way of doing that. For some people, an affair is a catastrophic end because, of course, an affair is not just the act of being with somebody else. It's the deception. And I think for a lot of people and the couples that I see that don't survive affairs, it's about the lies and the deceit. You know, those things can literally eat away like a cancer at a relationship. The other thing I say to people about these things, which is not spoken about much, unfortunately, is this: do not ask, tell me what you did, when you did it, how you did it, where you did it. Don't go looking for photographs. It's like torturing yourself. It is absolutely toxic. I understand this achy need to understand why did you do this to me, how could you do this to me. But when women and men, because it does happen to men too, when we go searching for the answers, the wounds are deep. And I've seen couples where they've found photographs or discussed at length, you know, for hours and hours and hours, what actually happened with the other person. And it just is hellish painful. Like, it really deeply, deeply wounds the partner who's listening to the story. So I strongly suggest that, you know, you find out what you need to know and then you stop, because it can really, really hurt so much. Anyway, as I said, I haven't been on live for a while. It's time that I did again. So I'm Debbie Carberry from debbiecarberry.com.au. I am a relationship coach and a clinical social worker. Underneath this video, I will pop a link for if you'd like to have a 15-minute chat with me about your relationship, and that's your relationship with yourself, perhaps your relationship with your children or your partner. It could even be your family of origin. I work with people on all relationships, across all relationships. And I endeavour, and have been for the last decade, helped women and couples have deliciously imperfect relationships. So if you've got any questions for me, pop them in below. Or if you'd like to private message me, you can. And like I said, on my Facebook page over there, I think you will find a link to my 15-minute free call. All right, on that note, I need to go. So thanks very much, everybody. Have a really good afternoon. Bye.